Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Byond Borders podcast. Today, I'm going to be sharing a lot more about my story. You're going to be knowing who I am. You're going to be inspired. We're going to be talking about what has made me who I am and why I've started this. And I'm glad to be on this journey with you.
Yeah, Ike, welcome to the show today. How are you doing? Tell us about yourself.
My name is Ike. People ask me a lot this question, and I love to answer that. I call myself a connector. I am the bridge that likes to connect people together. I usually like to bring people together to make friends and network. That's basically who I am.
Why do you connect people? Was it something you learned as a child? Was it something you saw your parents do? Or was it your friends? So how did you get to be connecting people?
I grew up in a family of 4 kids. I'm the first child. My dad, always loves to bring people around. And, while growing up, I had cousins who lived with us, who went to school with us. And that gave me that courage to, trying to learn how to live with people, connect, and, be diverse in terms of community. And my dad used to have a lot of friends come over to see him, and he would get us to travel to different people's activities or events, and that basically helped us, learn how to meet people, and we're open to communicating with people, making friends, and building long-lasting friendship with a lot of people.
So is there a story you would like to tell us concerning one of those times where you actually met with your dad, or even with your cousins, or in a party that wow, there was something that happened that's...
Yeah, definitely. While growing up, we did have neighbors, and before we were able to connect with the kids of our neighbors, our dad and the 2 parents already became friends, and they go out to different events, and so they also bring us together when there's birthday parties, and that led us to becoming friends with the kids of our neighbors, and that helped us build long-lasting relationship. And one of the best relationship I have right now is with one of my former neighbors when I was a kid. I've known him from when I was probably 1 year old all the way to now, and that taught me how to be able to build relationship and be able to connect with people.
Based on what you're doing, connected is actually very important.
Yeah.
Just having that bridge and that connectivity helps people know that, man, you're one person I want to be friends with, because you know how to keep that. Exactly. So do you want to tell us about your background? So
I grew up in a very academic background. My dad and my mom are professors in university, so I did study economics and statistics in my undergrad, and after a while I wanted to further my education, and I came to Canada to do my master's in business administration. Professionally, in terms of my working career, I started off in consulting and moving on to marketing and sales, and I've worked in diverse industries from marketing technology to finance to technology.
That's amazing. So how did all of this background actually help you to start your entrepreneurial journey? Because again, you're in statistics, you've done marketing, you've done sales, you've done technology. So how did that infuse you, or kind of make you walk through the entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so in university, my dad always wanted me to become a professor. He had that pathway for me. And when I graduated from university and I didn't come up with the best of grades that could enable him go back for a job for me, that dawned on me. And then, in university, while in my 100 levels, that's the first year in school, I already started making friends with people. And in my 100 level, I was a public relations officer for the faculty student union. And that helped me to connect with people. And I realized that, I was very good at making friends, or even helping people win elections, and that made me a go-to person in terms of in the department. So if they're looking for who wants to give you an idea on how to even, maybe a company is coming to the school and they want to be able to reach out to students, they would mention my name. So I realized that I had that skill. So when I graduated and I didn't come up with the best of grade, and my dad said, "You're on your own," I realized that I had that skill. Now, I said that could be a sales skill, but I didn't know exactly what it was. But that was a very good sales skill for me to connect with people. I was able to convince people to, even vote for people, or even vote for me, or things like that. And then right after school, I had to start a business that I didn't know was a business, but I told myself, how can I do something meaningful for myself? So I started helping businesses, promote themselves on social media, what we call influencing right now. So I would go to small, medium businesses and I would say, hey, I have an audience of friends who would like your product, and I could promote it on social media, and they would buy from me, and I was charging them little as 2,500 naira per month, and I was seeing results, and these guys were coming back to me and paying for services. And I knew that I had that in me. And when I was ready to go out of my, family house and start my own thing, I knew business was what it is I really wanted to do. And that's how I started helping businesses, grow, learn more about marketing. I also had to develop myself in understanding how the social media space works. So I was training organizations, PR team and marketing team on how to use Facebook, Instagram, and how to do branding. And mind you, I was also learning at that point, but I was able to go prove to them that I was an expert in this, and that helped me, give me a lot of motivation to keep on doing what I was doing, and I was making some good money out of that.
From what you just said now, it occurs to me that you're the kind of person who can make the most of any situation when you find yourself.
Correct.
You were learning the social media skills, and at the same time, you were actually teaching them as a pro.
Yeah.
So tell us about one experience. Was there a time where you had the aha moment to say, you know what, this is something that I really want to start doing and take it more seriously? But like you said, we're making money on the side, we're getting other people, and I'm sure you were getting referrals because they were seeing results.
Yeah.
So tell us one of the aha moments. I said, wow, if I can do it this way, then I can upskill what I'm currently doing.
Yeah. So I had a friend who was working for a fertility company, and she was in the capacity of marketing, and she was struggling. And mind you, this is my friend who was just sharing with me struggles that she's having in her job. And I said, have you utilized social media? Have you been able to understand what your brand voice is, the branding? And then she got connected with me, started talking more about it, and I showed her some pointers, and she started doing that. And the company noticed the changes, and they're like, how do you learn this stuff? And she mentioned my name, and then that landed me my first big contract. I got a first contract of 200,000 naira just to train a company's team for 1 week. And I was like, wow, I never ever savvy this team. I'm ready, making some bucks out of it. And, that drove me, and I realized that, I can keep on doing this.
Wow, that is actually amazing. So did you have values you lived by? What was that thing that woke you up in the morning? What were your values? Was it that you loved money, or you wanted to see people succeed? Or what was that thing? What value kept you going?
So as a child, when I was growing up, my dad, I lived in university quarters. So my dad would literally felt like I didn't need pocket money. And he would give me like 5,000 naira a month. And that was not enough for me. But because I'm a man, in Africa, a man has to manage what he has. I realized that I don't want to go beg my dad every time for money. So, but that motivated me to be able to think outside the box on how do I generate money for myself. And even if my dad is doing well as a professor, I don't want to rely on his stuff. I want to be able to, I see his beauty's legacy. How do I replicate mine? And at the end of the day, when I wake up in the morning, I know that I have a dad who can help me out, but I want to be my own self who can help other people out and help my generation to come and build that world that I want. So, and I wanted to be better than my dad too.
Very young age, you didn't want to have dependency on
Yeah.
him. So one of the things for you that actually spoiled you was that spirit of independence.
Exactly.
And that spirit to say, you know what, I want to be better than my dad. But if I do the usual, so it means that you went above and beyond, and you had to think outside of the box to create something for yourself. So give us a scenario where you actually, the aha moment for you where you thought out of the box. You told us one already. Tell us another story that I said, you know what, I just remembered this story, and after I did this, I got that. Can you tell us one?
So there was a transition from when I was doing my own business. So I was doing it so well that the owner of the company, who was seeing results in just me training for a couple of weeks, his wife had a consulting company. Now his wife was struggling also with putting her brand out there and having somebody who could understand the business and be able to provide solutions, not generally in marketing, but as in terms of business development. And then Now the CEO of that company introduced me to his wife, and his wife said, "Hey, I'm gonna hire you on the spot because I think that you're capable, and I want to bring you in as an operations manager in my consulting firm." But that gave a pause to my entrepreneurial journey because now I was shown good money that I could make every month, and I really wanted to have a constant income because money is important, especially if you're living in Lagos. So I moved on to her company and I was helping her out. And she saw results immediately in 6 months. And then she came to me and said, "Hey, Ike, I have this amazing idea that I've been hoping to launch, but I think you're the right person for this." And when she told me the project, I was shocked at how did she see a 6 month old staff who just started in her company. She's gonna give me this responsibility of branching out her consulting into another aspect in hospitality. So she wanted to create a hospitality academy, but she deemed me fit as a person who could grow that company, set it up from scratch, and that helped me understand that space of the business, build a business plan. How do we launch? How do we even promote this academy to businesses? So I was going and doing sales, pitching, doing proposals. So a lot of that also helped me to gain some professional skills that has also helped me so far in my business. And at the end of the day, her giving me that opportunity to be the head of operations for that hospitality academy was a wow moment for me, and that made me, more motivated. And then, I remember also as a kid when people asked me, "What do you want to? How do you see yourself in kind of job?" I always used to daydream myself, being that boss and also empowering people, and just being a director. I never said CEO because I never knew that that was something I could do down the line. But I always wanted to be at the top in whatever I find myself.
So I want you to talk to us about your superpowers. Because one of the things that have made you outstanding is you're very productive.
Yeah.
You can turn 0 to 6 and above figures.
Yeah.
So you have superpowers,
Yeah.
productivity, you have foresight, and you can actually see beyond what the people can see.
Yeah.
And people know, like, and trust you. And if they trust you with what they have, you can actually expand it for them.
Yeah.
So tell us about that superpower that is.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I have is branding. And if you go back to my story, I've always loved, you know, when it comes to like promotions and marketing. So I always tell people when you're starting a business, you need to understand that you're not just creating something because you want to do something. You need to think about it as a brand. Now, you can start off being the brand, but at the end of the day, we need to separate you from the brand. And when you're looking at sustainability, building a brand is also very important. So that magic that I have is branding, and I'm that kind of person that my best friend would say, if I'm gonna sell Gary, people will buy Gary. So that is also part of sales skills too, right? So, but being able to brand and understand what value proposition I'm trying to create and make sure that that's sustainable in the long run is what gift that I have.
So was there anybody who inspired you on your journey? Did you have mentors? Did you have coaches? Did you have people who actually showed you what you needed to do, that showed you the path that you would follow?
Yeah, I think the first person is my dad. Super amazing guy. My dad is the person that if you mention his name in a room, he could open doors. So as a kid, I saw that even, you know, not knowing what that meant, but it was super amazing that I could go to a place and, mention my dad's name and they could say, "Oh wow," because of the impact he's created. Um, and that has inspired me to be able to make impact in my generation. I've always not loved money as much as money is important. I've always loved to create value that even if we leave this earth tomorrow, people will never forget you. And that's one of the things that have inspired me. And that's why my dad is the biggest mentor to me because I've seen him do things from giving back to community and also having certain principles that have driven his ability to be who he is. So like integrity. He's taught us that hard work is very important. I remember growing up, my dad would say, and I still say this to people, you would open your mouth so wide for roasted chicken to fly in. And what that means is you have to go find the chicken, you have to kill it, you have to eat it, you have to make it. So you cannot be lazy and expect the success to come to you. So you have to be able to work hard. So that has helped me a lot, being able to have integrity because that could lead to trust and being able to work hard in no matter what situation or circumstance I find myself.
Have there been any time when you were able to help someone think through a process? Someone is lost and they didn't know what to do. Were you able to sit down? You told us one about the girl earlier. There's some other ones you'd like to share with someone who you're able to transform and help them, kind of chart a growth path.
Yeah, I do this all the time. So if people who are starting businesses or even just trying to develop themselves professionally sit down with me for 30 minutes, you're going to go home with something that would change your life. It could be more of you restructuring the way you're doing things, or you trying to learn new things on how you want to, develop. And I also learn from people, but I love to say that when people have conversations with me about business or how to grow or try to do something different. Like a young guy the other day came to me and he's trying to raise money, and I told him how to do it in a different way, and he didn't know that he could do that, and he went home and put that to work. And at the end of the day, I'm happy that he's able to gain something, even talking to me for 5-10 minutes on how to change or redirect his purpose as a business owner or how to be able to scale his business. So for me, when you have a conversation with me and we're able to exchange value, we should be able to go home with something valuable by the end of the day.
Okay, so I would like to find out from you. You've talked about the different educational background, but how your father has infused you. Your father is a professor. That's like he's at the top of his career. So did you go beyond your first degree? Do you have other certifications and all of that?
I moved to Lagos from Benin City, and in Lagos is a commercial city, and I realized that I learned more about businesses, being in Lagos, and I wanted to learn more because one of the companies I worked for last before I left, my previous boss, he did his master's in business administration in the UK. And I admired him so much because he had a driver. When they hired him, they gave him a driver. He got a house. And I'm like, damn, how do I do this to become, almost even better than him? And, furthering my education was the next step. Moving here to Canada, I didn't know anybody, but I definitely had a passion to succeed. So, it was a struggle for me because I went back to do my master's after 2 years leaving university. So, what it is to start studying again. And things are a little bit intense here in North America. So, I got used to the fact that I needed to study more and also be able to work to be able to take care of myself. MBA helped me a lot in terms of like being able to understand more about business because there's one thing to have a hands-on experience. There's one thing to understand the structure, the processes of how to run business. And during my MBA days, one of the most interesting courses I really loved was strategic management, because we had to do some case studies and we dealt with a lot of simulations that seemed like we were managing companies and running the operations to marketing, and that helped us to utilize some of the skills that we had gained, the knowledge we gained as an MBA student.
That's so amazing. So tell us how you're able to incorporate your master's in business with your strategic planning, plus your statistics that you've learned and all of the experience you've gained. Because first of all, you've had tons of experience in Nigeria before you came to North America, and now you have an MBA. How did that further help you to become the person who you are today?
Yeah, very good question. So basically, that has helped me to be able to take the right step when creating a business. So first thing first is having a business model, understanding what are you trying to create. And now in a business model, we have different aspects of it, from resources to, how do you want to make money, to finance, to, supplier management and all that kind of stuff. It helped me have a map where I can be able to understand, okay, I have this idea. what am I going to break down this idea into, and how do we take it to the next step? And we can be able to create business plan, and then be able to look at different areas of the business plan, and then take some action steps and execute. So that has helped me a lot. And so anytime I have, as a creative that I am, anytime I have a fantastic idea, I'm not just excited that I feel like this idea will bring me money, but I need to see how would this be able to be sustainable by taking the right steps of understanding the business model that I'm trying to create.
Have you had any setback in all of your journey from Nigeria? If you can give us one particular story where there was a huge setback and like you'd say, what I don't do again. But at that point, you came back, and what made you come back? What was the I not do again moment, and what was that thing that said, you know what, whatever it is, I'm going to forge ahead?
Yeah, I mean, 2022 was a very tough one for me. So it was basically me understanding that being an immigrant in a country where I don't understand the landscape of business and the struggles of being able to fund your business to be able to keep on running. Because at the end of the day, if there's no input and output, things can't work, and especially with funding to run a business. So at a certain point, I needed money to scale and do more for my business, and I couldn't assess that because I got a lot of rejections from the bank due to status, or being able to have a lot of equity. That tore me down, and I said, maybe this it's the end of the road for me. But when I think about the impact of what I've done and how that would affect a lot of people down the road, and also disappoint my community, that gave me a sense of motivation and said, hey, you can do this. Like, part of the struggles of businesses, not everything is rosy. My dad would say life is on a straight line graph. Doesn't mean that when the graph moves to the other side, you should give up on your dreams. But I sat down and said, how do I figure a way to even fund this business and manage the cash flow to be able to be self-dependent without the financial institutions being a setback for me? And I was able to pick myself up and take the next step, and today I don't regret it.
I would like you to say something to someone who at this point could probably just not just feeling out of sort, and they want to kind of look like, I can't do this anymore. Just a word of encouragement for one person today to say, you know what, you got this.
So again, business is not easy. I definitely know there are people out there who are struggling with different challenges on how to even start a business, or how to scale, and even how to manage the business. But I'm saying to you right now that don't give up. All you need to do is take a deep breath. Maybe you need to re-strategize. Maybe you need to talk to me. Maybe you need a business coach. Maybe you need someone who can mentor you. And that's why we created this platform, because we want to be able to put you in the right direction and be able to help you achieve your entrepreneurial dream. Some of you listening to me right now would say, this guy is saying the right thing. We always have this thoughts and ideas and dreams, but we never take actions. Now, if you don't take action, how do you know what the result's going to be? If you're sitting right there, you have that big dream, you have that idea, it's okay for your dream to be bigger than you, but I need you to get up and make it work. If it doesn't work, you can also make it work. People get to do things, and they make mistakes, but they're able to learn from that mistake and be better. I've had businesses that have failed, but do I say that stopped me from being who I am? If I did, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So you can do that by, sitting down and thinking about the next step on how you're going to make things work, and don't sit on that idea because you might be sitting down on money.
What's that one thing that you want to say to the people right now? What would you like them to do? Because this is a podcast, and we really want to help other people achieve to become who they are.
So one of the biggest inspiration for me starting this platform, Byond Borders, is because I want to be able to help people aim beyond borders. Now, we do have barriers that hinder us from aiming to become the millionaire, the billionaire that we want to be. Sometimes you really need people like me to be able to take you to the next step, and that's why we created this platform. I want to be able to help you. I want to be able to make sure that you're living that entrepreneurial dream without any obstacle. You know what to do. Hit me up. I'm willing to help out as much as I can. I want to see you succeed just the way I've been successful. Thank you so much for joining us today. I started Byond Borders because of you. Whether you're starting a business, you're looking to scale your business, or you're just looking for inspiration, this platform is for you. Follow us for more on our social media platform. Click the link below and subscribe. I look forward to having you on the next episode.